Let's try this again. Alright, so apparently the last video I recorded, the last videos of the start of chapter 1 didn't, for some reason, pick up sound. It's probably my port or something to do with the microphone I have here, but the other ones did, so please do watch them. Alright, no excuses there. Alright, so here we go. And what do I need for this class? Yeah, we've kind of gone through this, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about anything other than motivation and discipline. This is the really important part to succeeding in any class. And so if you're just beginning and returning to college, just beginning college or returning to college, it doesn't matter. It really does take structure, especially in a hybrid class. So if you're enrolled in hybrid, and those of you listening to this probably will be, you've got to be able to really structure your time outside of class to get the information on lecture material. All right, classes are a job, as I said, structure, right? You really do want to build a schedule, which includes when you're going to study. I add that you probably want to outline where, who you want to study with, and you want to make this pretty much a constant, a routine, if you will. And so I really think that's really important up front, because a lot of students go into denial about that. Now, we'll get back to that, and it just never happens. All right, learning outcomes are in your syllabus as far as the whole course, and of course they're also part, of each chapter and section within each chapter of the book. These are, of course, the outcome. What should I have gotten? I said, we have learning outcomes that are provided from the people who wrote your book. They are supported by me. We have outcomes from the college and from the state of Texas that allows this college to be, or this course to be transferred. So this is something, again, to bear in mind, that you have things you're supposed to get out of this class in order to carry on and move to the next level. Cahoots is a testing, an online testing or quizzing, and I write these questions and I build the Cahoots, and I do like to think that they help students understand, what they have problems with and where they struggle. So I anticipate that when we come to class, probably after we take our lab quizzes, I'll just say, hey, let's run a quick Cahoots and see what you got from lecture. And they won't be for credit, by the way. All right, so chapter 1 starts off as introducing the human body. So very much like what we talked about in lab, right? A lot of this, where's everything located? How is it organized and arranged? Right? So, for your test, you're not going to tell me the 4 benefits you're going to get from knowing more about anatomy and physiology. I usually tell students, but you can refer to page 10, as I say here. I usually tell students, look, you're going to get to know more about yourself so you can help other people understand more about themselves. Anatomy is a structure, studies of structures and locations, and physiology is function and mechanisms. We study them together because structure, right, predicts function, right? And I often say, you can't use a spoon to do a fork's job, right? Or a screwdriver to do a hammer's job. Everything looks a certain way because it does certain things. And so don't forget that. That's one of the reasons why we have you look at cells and slides and stuff, right? This process, homeostasis, is our unifying theme to the anatomy and physiologies. Homeostasis is balance, and it matters because you only continue to live if you can keep all the different things going on, right, mechanisms I mentioned, balanced in the body, right? And that doesn't mean like you're juggling all these different tasks. It means you're keeping levels of certain things and processes functioning on a regular timely manner, and they are happening in order to again sustain you, keep you alive, right? So we start off after we get through just a broad introduction in this chapter, we start off and talk about structural organization, which again we're going to kind of start at the lowest level of organization and build up. And the largest level of organization we talk about will be the organ systems. And we know, of course, that those 11 systems, because there's 12 if you separate male and female, but you are either going to be male or female, so that means you will contain 11 systems. And these 11 systems cooperate in order to keep you, the organism, alive. So here's our levels. So chapter 2 is going to be chemistry. Chemistry is this idea, this prediction of how different compartments of matter, right, atoms made up of protons, electrons, and neutrons, will get together, organize to form molecules, and then molecules become our building blocks, right? Then the molecules combine to form our organelles, like the nucleus and the endoplasmic reticulum and so forth, and these become organized in the cell. The cells then organize themselves, right, into tissues, and while there's, hundreds of different types of cells, there are only actually 4 general types of tissue: epithelial, connective, muscle, and nerve, right? And then there's subtypes within there, but we want to start broad and assign all the parts of the body into these categories. Organs, so the organs are comprised of 2 or more different tissues that have a common function. Organs become organized in organ systems, in which I said then the organ system has a common function. All of these work together and depend on each other to either keep a single cell or many cells alive. So we look at the idea of these systems, and from the outside in, right, is a good way to start. So here again, chapter 2 will be chemistry, chapter 3 will be cells, chapter 4 will be tissues, and then chapter 5 will be our first organ system, because we will have really been building our information and understanding. So the integumentary system is a collective, and it is pretty much all connected: skin, hair, nails, right? Its job, because we said these systems have similar functions, is to cover and protect you, right? And we look at the integumentary. It's a pretty simple system as far as systems go, and that's also good, because since we want to kind of wade into the information, this is a good way to start. Okay, if we remove the surface, right, the superficial stuff, we start to see these other systems. So the next system we cover in chapter 6 will be the skeletal system. And the skeletal system is basically there as protection. It supports, it itself is moved, does not do the movement. So be very careful on that one. We're going to give movement specifically to another system. But it supports the body, it provides shape to the body, it's very protective. Look at that, enclosing all these vital organs that we talk about in the thoracic cavity and the brain, right? And it's going to cooperate. So again, we want to think about the cooperation these systems do to produce the organism. All right? So finishing up Anatomy and Physiology 1, we have the muscular system, right? And then the nervous system. So the muscular system, right? Movement and responses. Movement and responses. So we're going to come back and talk about responses here after this section, but that's its job. Move. This is the system and the tissue, because remember, muscle is one of the 4 types of tissues, that will move things internally and move you externally, right? And it helps maintain body temperature, because every time you transfer energy, which you're going to need energy to do this movement, right? These are muscles, very energetic, expensive. You need a lot of calories to build and maintain muscle, right? Every time we transfer energy, and you'll transfer it from your food to ATP, you'll find out later on, heat is produced. And there's so much muscle, and all of these muscle cells are doing these processes, that they really maintain our internal body temperature, right? The last system we talk about in AP1 is the nervous system. All right, so the nervous system is our controller, our sensor. It's connecting all this information coming in and trying to figure out what it means. So, and then it's going to send out a different number of commands to make sure the body is working cooperatively as well. So that's why we say director. So sensory, so it's going to detect and process heat and temperature and pressure and itch. And then we look at the special senses like sight and smell and hearing. Okay, and then that information that's been sensed is sent to the central nervous system, brain and spinal cord, which then integrates and coordinates that. All right, and then it sends it back out to the body to direct it to do something. In Anatomy and Physiology 2, you're going to look at the endocrine system, and it's going to follow the nervous system because the endocrine system is also, there you go, control, regulate, and we're going to give it response like the muscle. Okay, so hold on to that for now, but control and regulate like what the nervous system does, not sense so necessarily. I mean, there are sensors, but remember, sensors are nervous tissue, not the endocrines themselves often. And then it's going to respond to that, so it's going to be able to do something about what it is, about the change in the body to try to reestablish, right? So it will secrete hormones, and these hormones then control or regulate, that's another term for that, the bodily processes. The cardiovascular system, which centers around the heart and all the blood vessels, and this is all about moving nutrients and gases and hormones made over here all around the body. So we really want to say transport, and that is, by the way, different technically than movement, right? And it also regulates body temperature, so we got transport, delivers, regulate body temperature. In AP2, we also cover the lymphatic system, immune system, and this is really a protective, not protective like skin was, though skin is technically part of our immune response, right? But protective from the sense that we have cells, and a lot of different cells that are basically patrolling the body looking for contaminants, right, and infective agents. So from pathogens, right, disease-generating things. It also works to help us return fluid to the heart, the cardiovascular, and so the lymph vessels eventually connect back to, here they are, the blood vessels. The respiratory system is a really very short system, if you will, of tubes, because the others can be really extensive. Skin's pretty extensive, muscles pretty extensive, bone, right? But respiratory is a very, contained and continuous system of tubes again, and its job really is to exchange, right, gases. So here the movement is the movement of gases, and remove is the excretion. So it helps you inhale, move gas in, and exhale, move gas out. So the gases coming in need to be oxygen rich, the gases going out usually have carbon dioxide, right? So digestive system, right, processes food for use by the body, so breaks down whatever you consume, and again, continuous tube, and will allow the absorption, bring it into the body, into the blood, and the excretion then. So the digestive has that in common with respiratory. The respiratory is also considered excretory because it excretes waste, carbon dioxide. This just excretes all the solid waste, not the gas waste. Though you can generate gas, right? And then the urinary, also another small, like the respiratory, but very powerful, is a true controller of the composition of the fluids in the body. We get blood, right, and ultimately all the other fluids in the body. And it works to excrete anything that is wasteful, but this time in a liquid form. Okay, what system is missing from this list? Well, it's the reproductive system. We left those one out. We didn't feel like we needed that. So, all right, we will end the video here, and hopefully y'all can hear this one. So, thank you for watching.